Meetings, for many people, is really a time waster. And when I look at the culture regarding meetings in many companies, I understand them because there's no real efficient meeting culture. One of the first things I often ask is, have you created like a meeting etiquette, getting some guidelines and ground rules regarding meeting? And too often they say, no, we didn't, which I find kind of strange because, for example, traffic, we all have agreed to abide by certain guidelines and ground rules. And because we do that, we have a kind of a safe traffic. We know that when there's a red light, we have to stop. We know that when there's a pedestrian, he has a priority to cross the street. So why don't we create some guidelines regarding meetings? So I'll give you some tips. One of the first things is when you get an invitation and you're invited to go to a meeting, that you ask yourself, do I really have to be there? Is it necessary for me to be in that meeting? Have you ever encountered that you're sitting in a meeting and you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing here? Why am I spending my time here? The sad thing is that nobody has time except time to lose time. And being in an inefficient meeting often is one of those time wasters. So do dare to ask yourself that question. And that when you're getting an invitation, I hope there is always an agenda included. And that if there's no agenda with real clear topics, that you have the reflex to answer and say, well, thank you for the invitation, but I don't see the agenda. What will the meeting be about? And that when they answer you, well, you'll find out during the meeting, your reflex will be, well, then I think I'll have another priority. I'm not going to go and sit there for an hour, not knowing what it will be about, and maybe lose an hour. Probably you have other priorities you can work on. Another thing that's very important is timing. Respect your timing. There is nothing as frustrating as having to wait for people to come late. If a meeting starts at 10 until 11, it needs to start at 10 and don't start at 10:15. And don't finish at 11:15 or 11:30 because that actually messes up the whole agenda for future meetings, other appointments. So one of the tips you could use there is installing a timekeeper and have somebody keep an eye on the agenda and the timing. And maybe he can course correct the whole conversation so we will be able to finish by 11, for example. Another thing, and that is something that I really get frustrated about, is all those laptops and smartphones during meetings. I think it is really disrespectful that if people are answering their emails while somebody's presenting, it's not efficient, it's disrespectful, and we think we can multitask, but reality is that if I'm answering emails, I'm not really hearing what is being said. Why do you think meetings last so long? Because half of the people have their focus somewhere else. So get rid of all those things and be focused. So we don't have the situation where people leave the meeting thinking, so what was decided? What's going to be the next step? And then at the coffee machine, we're actually creating the next steps. That is not the purpose. Now, last tip I want to give you is dare to play and organize meetings in a different way. Research shows us that if we have 20-minute meetings standing up, we create a whole different dynamic and we become much more efficient than, for example, sitting down for 2 hours going through slide by slide by slide.